Tell me your name.
My name is Tanya Woods.
And you recently come home from prison.
Yes, I just did 38 years in Illinois prison system.
38 years.
38 years.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
And you've been home
4 months on the 17th.
4 months.
Yes.
How was that for you? How was coming out, and how did you manage that transition after
It
38 years?
it was a little scary at first because everything was so new, but I kept my focus on making sure that I made the right choices of where I'm living and what I wanted to do and who would help me and wanting to be a part of a community that wanted to help prison people in prison. So I've been around quite a few people I done talked to, and they done guided me in the right direction, and that's a plus to have the direction on where you want to go. I got family, some friends, that say, okay, you need to do this and learn this because the computer was scary. The phone is, it's a whole new world. So everything was taken slowly. I was blessed to have a parole officer that definitely had my back because she couldn't even imagine somebody coming out after all those years, to
How old
try.
were you when you went in?
I was 22, almost 23 when I got incarcerated.
Wow.
I just turned 60 in January.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. So
Wow.
it,
Did you have children before you went
no,
in?
I didn't
No.
have any children at
Yeah.
all. So, it's a whole new world. Everything is so different. So the tech, that's the big thing to me. And I'm such a person that enjoys, being in charge or being a leader of all of this and knowing facts. And I educated myself while I was in prison. So coming out
Yeah.
to
How was
everything
that
new.
like? Like, take me back. You know, you know, 30 years. Like, what was coming into prison with all that time? What was the actual sentence you got?
I got 90 years for 2 armed robberies. And the jury found me not guilty of the most severe charge of attempted murder. They dropped it down to aggravated battery. So I got one sentence. The judge gave me 30 years, and the second one, he gave me extended term max. So altogether, I got a total of 90 years. Yes. Injustice for sure. You know what I'm saying?
And
The judge
was that
in the 80s.
that was right. That was in the 80s,
Hmm.
but in that prison, was it not difficult to find other women like you doing 20, 30 years?
A lot of them, during that time in the 80s, it was a period of when they would lock you up and throw away the key. And a lot of people suffered through that. A lot of people had life sentence. A lot of people had 30, 40 years. A lot of women in there for, their husband abused them and they wind up killing them. So it was a lot of different people under different situations. So, you can relate when injustice been done to you. A lot of us worked together to try to help each other as much as we could, because the justice system, again, like I said, in the 80s was so corrupt. That was one of the most corrupt periods during the 80s. Some of the judges, a lot of the police was on the news about, and it's all coming out now, Burris and all of
Hmm.
those, even my judge.
The torture,
Hmm.
Chicago police
All of that.
torture chambers, and yeah.
Yes. So I, went through all of that experience with people, my judge and the attorney that was assigned to my case was corrupt. As we worked on my clemency, we found out that
So is that
he,
how you got released through clemency?
no,
No.
they
Okay.
went back and gave us days for time that we had been in prison. Because, until 2021, they wasn't giving people with certain times any days. The law changed and it allowed us to get days for all the stuff that we did, like working industry, going to school, all of that. Everybody
Hmm.
got days. I being incarcerated, I took advantage of the educational system. I got my bachelor's, two AAs, and I got
Wow.
12 vocational certificates. So in the end, because I
Congratulations.
decided to do those things, it helped me get out the door
When you say
earlier.
in the end, like what did you do in the beginning when you realized that they gave you a 90-year sentence. Like, what was that you went through during your evolution in prison? At the beginning, like, how did you manage to hold yourself together?
Okay. Well, the first thing, I know I knew a lot of people that came to me because I was young, I had enough respect to listen when they told me, well, you need to get in school, you need to go to the law library, you need to do this and do this, and this will help you, with your sentence and with your time. And true enough, it was, because being in school most of the time was positive, and I didn't have time to get into the prison life. I did some because that's just part of it, but my focus was being educated and changing who I was, because I know that wasn't the person that I am. And I had to work to better myself and show a lot of people, that you can make bad choices. It don't make you a bad person. This person is educated. This person going to get out and help other people to not make the mistakes that I made. So, and I had a good family. I had a praying grandmother, and God is always first. So those things are stuff that I kept inside. It stopped me from being bitter and angry, because you get so many people that been done unjustly, that they so bitter and angry, and it hurts you more than it hurts anything else, unless you're going to get focused and help yourself. But it's sad, that family turning their back on you sometimes. Not my situation, but I done experienced and been around people like that, and you become
Women
a
lose their
family.
children.
You lose your family members.
Yeah.
You lose a lot. Everybody loses. The victim's family loses, and our family loses, because we losing, everything. Go behind those walls is a whole new
It's
world.
a whole new world. That's right.
Family is everything to me. So not being able to be there for some of the graduations, some of the
Yeah,
deaths, some of the
38 years. You
yeah,
must have missed a lot of
yes, and even in that,
births, funerals,
everything.
graduation.
And the funeral's the hardest.
Aha.
Yeah. So I tried to, like I say, stay focused my whole bit, and I'm grateful to God for that I didn't come out mad, angry, but I do want to help people in prison. That's my passion. God give you those tasks for your life, and I feel like that's what He put on my heart, to be an advocate or somebody to help change the system. So I've been looking for situations. That's why I came over here, because I heard about the moves that the uh, department here was making. So I want to come and do my part, be part of the class, and speak to some of the people that's in the class, that hey, it's time to make a change. And if I can do it for one person, they can do it for their family and help somebody else. So I definitely want to be a part of that community. So I was
That,
grateful that y'all came and want to talk about this.
oh, I'm grateful. We're
Yes,
grateful for you and
yes.
for your courage through all those years, and to still have the beauty in your heart to want to, help other people, help our community.
Yeah.
Like I always say, nobody's coming to save us. We have to
Help each other.
help each other. We have to save ourselves.
So I want to be a light, because I was in that darkness so long. It's time to come out and show a different side of me, that people, that really don't know you, they just read about you. And most of the time, those stories that they tell ain't even true.
Yeah,
So,
right. Exactly.
yeah.
But let me ask you a little bit of a tough question, okay? And
Okay.
please, we're all formerly incarcerated
Mhm.
people. We get it. We've been there. We know all of the sometimes lasting, permanent things that are never taken into consideration by the system,
Right.
but should be.
Yeah.
So we're here in Chicago, as you know, and we came for the Democratic National Convention. But a big part of that is figuring out what are people in our neighborhoods that are most entangled in this system, like where we are now, in K-Town. What they think about the convention, because one of the things we've been fighting as women to raise awareness of, with national organizations that work on reproductive rights and reproductive justice for women, who are focusing on, they rolled back Roe v. Wade. Now it's almost impossible, and is impossible in states like Louisiana, Mississippi, a lot of the southern states. Not sure what the policy is in Chicago and in Illinois, but I will find out.
Yeah.
To eradicate abortion. So not like to rolled us back, decades of
Yes.
fights that women have had. But what we're trying to also raise awareness with in these organizations who are working on, you know, reproductive rights is that it's not just about a woman's right to choose to have an abortion, because that's what it is. You just have Roe wasn't about you. It's about the right to choose. It's not telling women if you're pregnant, you go have an abortion. No, it's saying you have the right to choose. Now that's been taken away.
Right.
But we want people who are working in that system and who are making these laws around sentencing to understand when you put a woman who's 22 years old without children yet in prison for 38 years, you have literally robbed her of her right to reproduce. You have literally taken that from her. So in addition to us losing our freedom, our liberty, which is the most important thing that you cannot have, you're also punishing women when you give us these draconian sentences because you have taken that from us. And so we're trying to expand about that. What do you think about that? And how many women, there were so many women in the federal system with us that talk about this issue because they were sentenced to 10, 15, 20, 25, 42, like years, decades. And by the time they came home, they could not have children. Is that something that affected you and that you feel about?
Well, first of all, that right should, like you say, be on the woman. And as I got older, you know, it became an issue with me because at one time it's like, okay, I don't want to have children right now, or haven't really thought about it. But as I got older, close to my end of my 30s and 40s, and situations came up, it made me angry because I felt like if I wanted to, I should have that right. You shouldn't sentence people that you take away your whole livelihood, and that's what it was. So yes, I had those thoughts and tried to figure out situation because I had some medical issues, and the doctor was like, "Well, you can do this or you can do that," and then that's when it really became real for me. It was like, okay, how do I feel about this? And I should, like, again, have that right to choose what I want to do. So it's just like life and death. People say, they should get life, and, they should be able to execute them. We shouldn't have that right. Only God should have that right, to give us that choice, not other people. So I never felt that that was fair, that they could take away that also. It's like you getting double punished for something. And, even now, it's like in Illinois, they got 1,200 laws that's on the books that ex-offenders, when you come out, you still got to deal with. So it's like you never free from that system, no matter what. And same thing with a child. If I wanted one, I should have the right to have one. So it is a big issue. It messes with you mentally. Doing a long time, you definitely go through a lot of mental issues. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. Especially our Black community, because just basically lately you've been able to talk about mental health, because we didn't do that back in the day. We didn't sit around. If you had an issue, you better be quiet, don't tell nobody, not to neighbors or anything. But now people coming out with everything to talk about mental issues, and it do affect you mentally. And I think that's something that should be addressed also. So definitely true. A woman's rights should expand the prisons also. Definitely.
There's just been this proliferation of news stories we've known because for over a decade now, we have been fighting against the rape of women inside of prisons, the sexual abuse of women, and I'm talking about by gods, by administration. So they just closed the prison that we were fighting this in Dublin, California, one of the most egregious cases. They're basically running a brothel out of the place. The warden, the chaplain, the religious leaders that we expect to care for us were literally raping women and sexually exploiting them for years. Logan in Florida. I mean, there's Edna Mahan in New Jersey. I mean, we can go on this. What we say is there is not a women's prison anywhere in the country where women are not being sexually exploited, sexually assaulted, and raped, which is one of the reasons why we know there's no such thing as a trauma-informed prison, because the culture of incarceration does not work for healing people and helping them to transform their lives.
Right.
Why we're abolitionists. Did you see or know that those things were happening over the 38 years that you were incarcerated?
Of course, that's an everyday thing. It was so prevalent that people turn their back and keep on going even when they see it, even people in higher rankings and everything, because I got incarcerated in the 80s, and I had heard about, like, it wasn't called brothel then, but people in prison was going out, same thing, going out, turning dates, coming back, and that came from a captain that was in Dwight Correctional Center. So definitely, I don't think it would function without that. It's part of everyday life. Is
Right.
inside the prisons, raping, having sex with officers. But one thing did change, because I know one lady, she said she got raped, and the officer said she didn't. She wound up being pregnant, and they was able to tie her to the baby, the father to the baby. So they came out with officers getting sent to jail for that now. At first, they wasn't doing that. They'll fire them and send
Yeah.
us to SEG, or the
Yeah,
inmates to
the
SEG.
sisters get punished,
Yes, and they would
and
go
they get
home.
sent to SEG, and they
Yeah,
just get
that was
sent
it.
home.
But
But
now
it
they,
brings us to the question now of how it's so important for us to expand the dialogue around reproductive justice beyond just
right,
sisters outside, women outside. Yes to
yes,
that. How dare they take away the right for us to choose what to do with our bodies? But
right,
what happens to that woman who is like that in a place like Louisiana, where abortion is illegal,
right,
and an officer of a god, they're not
right,
officers, they're gods, gets you pregnant?
right.
What kind of, that brings us back to the importance of, we
Making
need
choices.
these voices to be heard
Yes.
to help people understand how diabolical the prison system is, but particularly for women. Even, we went to the feds, they had the little baby pads, like you had to make a diaper out of them. Yeah, we were grown ass women with stuff that we were given when we, were children on our menstruation, right?
Wow.
Feminine hygiene products, no tampons, no choice in what worked best for us
Right.
in our hygiene, in lots of things, not just sanitary issues, but just as women, what are the things that we need? What was that like for you over all those years?
Well, right now, it's a law in Illinois that says they have to give you those
We worked on
items.
that. That
Yes,
came through the Dignity for
underwear,
Incarcerated
all of
Women.
that. So they have changed that law. But before, we suffered through it too. You got to do the best. If they don't have it,
Yeah.
excuse me, but they rolled up tissue. They did all kinds
Yeah.
of things to
Yeah. Did you
make
make
it
the
work.
tampons out of the pads?
Oh yeah, I think until everybody was talking about you get
You
cancer
get
from
you
it.
get so toxic. We were
They was
like,
rolling
damn.
them tampons like cigarettes.
Exactly. That's one of the first things the sisters taught me when I
Yeah.
came inside.
Definitely.
But then it was like, then you started hearing about how toxic it was. But you still used it.
Yeah.
Because what else were you gonna do?
You got to do the best you can.
You gotta do the best you can.
That's it.
Did you have the experience of women who were separated? We have it was also part of the Clinton administration back in the 90s, the Adoption and Safe Families Act. And that was diabolical for us in Black communities, particularly for
about
Black women who were sentenced to prison. If you're absent, this is how the law works, and every state adopted it. The national law is, if you're absent, the floor is, if you're absent, if you're absent 15 months out of 24 months from your child's life, from your children's lives, the state must enact adoption proceedings to separate you from your children, and they say it's in the best interest of the child. But when they passed that horrible law, along with the 1994 Sentencing Act, back in the Clinton administration, that buried us, plowed so many of us because of the drug war, the war on us, into these prisons. They never took into consideration
Wow.
That women who are in prison are going to be separated from their children for 15 out of the last 24 months, and sisters literally state stole their children.
Wow.
Like, did you encounter any of that?
Not having any children, I don't know about that one at
Yeah,
all. I don't remember anything like that at
yeah,
all. No. I know it
okay,
was something with the children, but I'm not sure,
yeah.
the law on that one at all.
So I mean, you're the expert here.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, know that.
Okay.
You are the expert.
Okay.
So when we talk about creating the change that
Mhm.
we need to create,
Mhm.
you're the expert. You did
Okay.
38 years in a system that we are trying to dismantle,
Good.
right? And
Mhm.
and to create what a new system looks like that actually is not the police and prisons,
Mhm.
that actually helps us to heal, advance our lives, and create thriving communities for our people
Okay.
and for us. What would you are the expert.
Okay.
There are very few people. I mean, there are lifers,
Mhm.
we know that, but there are very few people that have done the extent of time that makes you the expert you are about the prison and criminal law system in this country. What would you say we need to be doing?
I think having coalitions come together in certain areas to discuss more with the community. I think people within the community need to be more educated on their rights in prison and after they get out of prison. I think that all the work you're doing is great. And like I said, the complications is going to come in on how do you build it into what you want it to be, because you're going to have to give people out there to, boots to the ground and do everything to make your organization even work. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they don't want to fix what's broken.
Well, it's hard when like this system has churned us up and
Right.
like disrupted our communities at
Mhm.
levels that are just
Yeah.
unfathomable. Like
Yeah.
it's like, how do you wrap your head around such a
Mhm.
massive problem?
It's a lot. Even listening to you talk, it was like I hear you, because I've experienced it. But where would the root of this start, and to get it to grow into what you want it to? Because, like you said, it's a lot of different facets to this that has to come together to make it work. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like I think,
So investing in $100 million in a new
yeah,
prison isn't the answer, right?
mm, yeah,
That's the resource that we need
right,
in here in our neighborhoods,
right.
because we
Like you
can we
said,
can do it.
yeah, got
But
it.
and are we going to get it? No.
Mm-mm,
So how, like, that's our question to our community. How
yeah,
are we going to begin to create the change
right.
when we know
It's
that
gonna be
that
hard.
they're not giving us
Because
$100 million?
most people ain't even going to be interested because they feel like the police and this and that is not going to change, and it's been that way.
Right.
How can you make somebody see something that every day they know it haven't changed? So I believe that is going to be the problem, getting people to believe that what you're talking about can make a change in our community. You know, that's a hard one.
That's
It's,
how.
yeah,
But
it
it's
is.
we doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's reimagining communities.
Yes, you got to, but like I said, you got to get into their thinking. That's why I said educating people more and having, coalitions and people come around to say, okay, we doing this and we can do this and we got to, and keep coming back, spreading that message.
Yep.
You know, that's
And taking it to the
yeah,
people. A lot of our people
education.
won't come in, like you said.
Yeah,
So that's why our model is structured around going into a very specific,
yeah.
just tiny piece of the neighborhood.
Because you got to have power. Education is power, and that's what y'all gonna have to do is educate people.
Yes.
That's the key to it. To me, that's how I feel about it. Because like you can say it a million times until the people actually see something that's rooted and it's growing. They're gonna be like, "Oh, here we go. This another one," and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for talking. I hope this is just the first of a lot
Oh
of
yes. Oh
conversations. We
yes.
got so many incredible sisters in this movement.
Hmm.
Coco Davis with sisters like Roz Smith. Roz was down 42 years.
Hmm.
I mean, we've got, sisters at Virginia Douglas, Justine Moore, we call it Taz, our leadership team. I just want to connect you
Okay,
with all of us
that'd
just
be great.
so, you know, We're coming to Chicago. We have a photo exhibit. We just did our 10th anniversary march on Washington. Over 2,000 formerly incarcerated women showed up. Chicago came and showed out
They want to change. It's a guy named Harry Pena. He's doing a lot of movement. Definitely write his name down because
Yep.
he's into the Live Free movement where
Live-
they going to Springfield
Yep.
getting fully free.
free.
That's it. Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pena got a
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
there you go.
Know them.
I know
Yep.
I know him. I didn't know the whole,
Yeah.
everybody involved, but he didn't try to talk to me also about the same thing going to
Yeah.
Springfield and, hey, whatever part I can play, I'm ready.
That's beautiful.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
gonna send you some Free Her shirts.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm free now.
Right.
Say I am free.
That's right. That's beautiful. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
talking to us and your
Anytime.
time. I think that what you said about what we need is valuable, important information.
Yeah,
We're gonna add that to our list of what we need to keep doing. So
yeah, definitely.
thank you.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anytime.
Let me give you a hug.